Sure, okay. Pega, listen. Welcome to the lockdown Imbizo. So today we are hosting this Imbizo. We're going to be tackling the issue of the lockdown and its impact on the alcohol community at large. So obviously, since this is an Imbizo, I'm not alone. I've got not only 1, 2, or 3, but I've got 4 co-hosts with me. So we're just gonna go around the virtual table, gents, and you guys are just quickly gonna introduce yourselves. Alphabetical order, Khehla.
Hey, what's going on now, Khehla? Mngomezulu, it's like we looked at Imbizo, kala machwala, and team when you kala ngano mpoko konvo.
Umvuselelo lo. Yeah, I looked down Imbizo, so discussing that by Uchwan.
Okay, Neptal Khoza. So yeah, I'm actually excited about this engagement. But I think it's more than just for whatever Puzayo. I think it affects everyone, even those who are around those about Puzayo who look sad now. So I'm really looking forward to this engagement.
Hi, Siboniso. Yes, I'm looking forward to the engagement. It's my first time going Imbizo. So guys, don't be surprised if I'm just quiet, just to try and observe how things are done.
Okay, Siboniso is the shy guy, obviously, as you can see, camera. But before we go into it, quick question. The banning of alcohol, yay or nay?
Yay, a big yay.
Sorry, when you're saying banning during the lockdown or banning in totality?
Yes, during the lockdown.
Well, I suppose then it's debatably yay.
Debatably.
Okay. I mean, I'm fencing, but
Yeah?
fencing.
Mina
was
advocate ngithi nay.
Okay.
No,
Asqale
for me,
ngone.
for me, it's strictly yes.
I say nay, Joe, because as I said, I think I'm saying nay because Utwala doesn't have a direct impact to the spread of the COVID virus. You know what I mean? COVID-19. I don't know how is it spreading Utwala. How does alcohol help the spread of COVID-19? You know, that's my and how do you define something being essential and other things being non-essential? What things are in place to define it being essential and non-essential? And now,
okay.
Sanitizer in alcohol, sanitizer in alcohol, 60% in alcohol. So I'm as in Kalangan. Shop.
Oh, okay, so let's sanitize.
Yeah?
Oh.
Let's put the sanitizer,
I mean, I need to exactly. I see penang it's essential. It's essential alcohol. It's a way of doing things in our culture. We've been doing it for all the time.
Yeah, but I think okay. Are we, guys? Alcohol is not banned. Alcohol beverages are banned.
Thank you.
Okay, the other points. Why are you saying yay to the banning of alcohol?
So Mina, I said in Sefensini, specifically because I agree with what Khehla said around the fact that alcohol, yes, doesn't have a direct impact to go with the whole issue of self-isolation, or doesn't affect COVID-19 or the spread.
It doesn't directly spread the COVID-19. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So my point is that so one, how it's implemented. I mean, this is bigger than just consumption of alcohol. I think we need to look at South Africa as the whole socio-economic setup, the how our structures are put in place, how as people have sort of treated alcohol as an escape, whether to our own conditions. And that's how South Africans have dealt with it. So alcohol abuse has been the biggest problem in South Africa. People are known to be hanging out on weekends, and obviously they do this through alcohol. So someone made an example about how do you go about doing that? And so I think that as much as alcohol has got its own effect in terms of contributing to accidents, fatalities, GBVs, and so on and so forth. However, I think for people who are escaping from their, Shalem Kukini, Fikendlini, Sisiu, and Amapoto, Mfazi, and the only thing that people would really look forward to is whether Namachita or one, and forget about the problem. Obviously, don't forget, but it was an escape. So to really to actually subject people to such an extent that they can't even access even one beer or one bottle of beer a day, it's actually just too much. I think they could have just limited the supply of alcohol and only release it for, in small supply, not to ban it completely. Because what we're seeing now is people, taverns, people brewing their own alcohol actually.
And
people
are dying. People will die.
Bootleggers. I mean, there's an argument that said that the whole thing about alcohol is to help people to save money. You don't do that to people who are really dependent. I'm using the term dependent because, I mean, that's what we're seeing, and we can't really be academic about it. We've seen it, and yeah, so that's my view. It's good, it's bad.
How is it bad, Chief?
Can I take the floor? Can I take the floor?
Ngena baba, ngena ndo.
So, shy guys.
So, my point of view is the reason why I'm saying it's debatably, yeah, it's a question of what is the intention? What is it that we're trying to achieve with the so-called ban of alcohol during this period?
Yeah.
But now the thing is, so the thing is now we are faced with a pandemic one which we do not know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Yes. We are faced with a pandemic that we're not even sure on what to expect from it, and we do not want to overload the resources that are very already restricted. So I actually read some.
Siboniso, you're breaking
Siboniso. Siboniso.
To say when you look at the trauma cases that usually consume. Yes. Okay. Let me remove the video. Maybe then I'll be much better.
Stick on the voice, yeah, not the video.
Sorry?
You stick on the voice.
Yeah, I removed the video.
Yeah, and when I got during lockdown, I saw why, but anyway, it's fine. It's just besides the point.
Yeah, it's essential services.
Anyways,
yeah.
So in any case, guys, like I'm saying now, we have limited resources, especially when it comes to our healthcare and so forth. And I was also referring this back to the article that I was reading last week to say, ever since the lockdown and the banning of alcohol, there's been a lot of a huge drop in trauma cases. They're estimating for around 80%. And when you look at these trauma cases, most of them are alcohol related, where people were partying elsewhere, and then there was alcohol being consumed, and then things got heated. These people start to fight, and then it actually brings a strain to the very health system that we are looking into. To a point, that article took a very practical example to say if people were drinking and then they get into a car accident, already you need paramedics for that, you need police for that, and then you still need a hospital staff just for one accident. So you start to look at it from the resources point of view to say we have a very limited resources. Yes. However, within the same article, what they fail to also account for is the fact that, let us be honest, casualties are caused by people interacting, not necessarily alcohol. You'll be very surprised. Yes, alcohol could be a major contributor to it, but it's not necessarily the alcohol. Already we have a restriction to say lockdown. So now the question is, if you bring that argument, are you then saying someone's going to fall off a balcony when they are drunk in their house? So that's why I'm saying I'm yes or nay. If from the objective point of view, I understand it, but the extent in which it's implemented, I'm not understanding it.
So from an objective point of view, you understand it, but from the part of you yourself being a consumer of alcohol, you are on the fence.
It's about being
No,
practical.
I actually, no, I'm actually, what's this, excluding myself from this and just be objective to say, okay, what really needs to be done here? What is the objective and what is the extent? And as well, it was Neptal earlier on who was also mentioning there is also an issue of dependency here. Some people are actually dependent on alcohol to escape their reality. Now, once you start to look at the dependency, the other thing, you can also call it addiction, but I do not see it as the same.
Sorry,
but once you pull that thing, unplug it at the same time, now you are actually causing some serious panic on other people. And now we're going to deal with far more cases where people cannot cope in escaping their reality. And let us be honest, guys, when you look at who consumes the alcohol the most, you'll actually find it's guys. And then, ironically, then who also is the leader when it comes to the suicide stats? It's also guys. So there's really something underlying here that all men are facing. And alcohol is an escape to it. Now you're actually shutting down my coping mechanism overnight. Specific overnight, not gradually to say, no, it's fine. For the first week, it's only 4 hours, and then that following week, so that I actually get used and start to see how am I going to adapt into the situation. Overnight, blink of an eye, it's all gone. So that's why I'm saying then, even though I understand the intention, but the implementation of it was just too extreme. Yeah, it was
Sharp.
just too extreme.
We'll come back to you, Siboniso.
Okay, so I'll mix Zulu and English so I can articulate myself. Well. So first things first, what you need to understand, the country is not under rehabilitation. So you don't need 2 hours, 3 hours to ease into getting used to not having alcohol. The country is in lockdown because it's drastic measures, because the situation is quite drastic, right? And as much as people use alcohol as a coping mechanism, right? But nowhere in health are you given alcohol to cope with your stress. We are actually advised against that. And also, even when there's no lockdown, under normal functioning, we've seen how our country behaves when there's alcohol. This is me making a general statement. It's not me knowing Khehla and Neptal, they are responsible drinkers. No, it's an example. It's an example. Yeah. I could have used anyone else.
Like
knowing Thabiso won't drink and drive. The Thabiso will call an Uber and go to a party. But not everyone does that. And right now, having had conversations with people who are in the medical field, working in radiography and ERs, they're saying there are less people coming in now because of right? How many taverns are sacred? That's one thing, right? Out for. But then at the same time, so and mind you, I'm not in support of what Upeyitele said, to stop the violence. There I'm against it because a lot of things stopped. Victims are in their homes and perpetrators have nowhere to gallivant around because social and security.
Except for gender-based violence.
Yes, except for gender-based violence, of which studies have shown that people who have also consumed alcohol are most likely to be abusive as well. I'm not saying that alcohol is the cause. The problem is with us. Hence, already now we're not even taking the lockdown serious. So what's going to happen when there's alcohol? And should we open for 4 hours tomorrow? Tops and wherever, Pick and Pay liquor and wherever. Tell me how many queues are going to be there, which will make people more vulnerable and more prone to learn. And also, let's realistically look at this. How many people can actually enjoy a glass of wine when they're chilling alone at home and not want to be in the midst of a company? Yeah. So, that's why, if we were responsible alcohol drinkers, then it wouldn't be a problem. But currently, hence, I'm saying yay, because if uzubona how drastic and how messed up we are actually been using spirit to brew alcohol, that basically shows what a secret right emakhanda. So it's actually ungaphuza spirit kahle ekhanda. Anjani?
Like I felt.
No. No, I'm making a generalization, lad. So
if the shoe fits,
ungayithathi personal. Not usungavukela isikhathi and not knowing the alcohol percentage. Uyifake emzimbeni just because you say ukuthi uhalela utshwala.
No, I think I hear both sides, and I think the majority of us, we are actually agreeing that it was necessary to ban alcohol for this period, right? Because of the various reasons that we have given. But again, I'm going to come and say, okay, well, you're on the fence. Siboniso said yay. Mvu said yay. Then so that's 2.5.
I agree. Response on the implementation of this thing wasn't done properly. This thing, but no, tomorrow we're opening up the tops.
Can I
I'm agreeing with increasing of our in one space. Okay, sure.
Right. So, in historical, right? I know and not stick to a topic. Utshwala has never been beneficial in terms of health.
Of course.
And if the
abuse of alcohol.
Because of the abuse the alcohol.
The abuse of alcohol,
right?
not alcohol.
Yes, abusing alcohol. Umuntu akabhaliwe ebusweni ukuthi lo ngeke abuse, lo uzobabuse, lo ngeke abuse. And that's the reality we have to, and that's the reality we have to face.
Yeah. But can I come in?
None of Velas jazz is sonke kanye.
Yeah.
And which is not
Can I come in there?
Yes.
Okay. Can I please come in?
Yes.
I think now, guys, to be honest, we're debating two different topics. Now, one, the topic was the lockdown and shutdown of alcohol. And even though these topics are two different, they are sort of related. And now we are actually bringing the element of abuse of alcohol. In fact, if the sentiment from government was that we are an alcohol abusing nation, this should have been then the time where they actually start to teach us a responsible usage of alcohol by little things such as limiting the time where you can actually buy the alcohol while you're still in lockdown. You'll be very surprised. A change of behavior would have been much higher, because now you know you can actually drink and don't go anywhere. This would have been the perfect time.
No, but it goes back to
the accessibility of alcohol.
But it goes back to essential.
It goes back to what Mvu said earlier, Siboniso, because umuntu makaphuzile angeke afuna ukuhlala endlini. If we are just afraid about this.
Thabiso, and also essential. Is alcohol essential?
Around you don't have an option.
No, alcohol is non-essential.
You must have.
Okay, gents. For the sake of the structure, let's go back a bit. So fine, we had our opinions in terms of what we think of the lockdown, but I wanna move on now. So as much as we say alcohol is a negative to society and it has all these problems and it can do so much damage, you cannot ignore the fact that utshwala la eMzansi especially has sort of created jobs for some people. It has created businesses for most people, and most of those people, bahleli emakhaya right now, and they don't know which after lockdown will their jobs still be there. Even the business owners don't know if they're going to be able to reopen after lockdown. So now looking at it from that lens, what are your thoughts again? Were we really supposed to shut down alcohol or what?
Yeah, well, so my point is, obviously, I mean, the alcohol industry contributes about 4 to 5% of GDP. And other industries as well have got their own contribution. The mining industry also has the biggest contribution. As you've seen on the news today, some miners were actually requested to return to work, but there was also a roadblock that sent them back to. So the impact is across the board. So I don't think that, you know, the whole question of moral decision as well as economic decision, I don't think we can argue it from that point of view. I think for me, the problem that I have is that in South Africa, we tend to have a knee-jerk approach to things. And that's why the implementation is always the way it is. So it's like we move from a scale of 0 to 10. There's no middle ground to say, how do you deal with this? I mean, we've seen this when the lockdown was implemented. Suddenly, people couldn't get to shops. Abu Makulbet couldn't get groceries. Why? Because how it was implemented. So the argument is not about people employed or otherwise their lives. Imbizo Zabantu, I think they are more important than, well, we can still build the economy after this. We can still create jobs after this. But the question is, how do we implement the lockdown responsibly and systematically, and ensuring that everyone is safe and obviously with less impact to the economy? That's my view.
On certain points, I really concur with Neptal in terms of ukuthi ezinye izinto abayicubulunganga kahle, abayi-analyzanga kahle ukuthi kuzokwenzakala kanjani, njengendaba yamatekisi nje ukuthi 6 passengers like i-load. People understand itekisi ukuthi kudala amalodi amangaka ukuthi kube ne-full tank ngalelo langa, amalodi amangaka esontweni ukuthi ekwazi ukukhokhela i-installment. Because ngizokwenza isibonelo nje, omunye bengikhuluma naye ngiyayikhohlwa igama le-financing company efinance osomatekisi, bathi i-credit insurance yakhona bazobanikeza i-payment holiday, but ayikhave ukuthi income ngeke beyenze. Uyabo? So
interested.
I know ukuthi
are you referring to tax?
Njani?
Payment holiday.
No, yeah, payment holiday. So uyabona ukuthi
if you're referring to
we are break usibona.
No, it's fine. Continue.
Okay, so uyabona ezinye izinto like ezinye izinto abayi-implementanga kahle, but kokunye ngenqambamanga bekumele ukuthi sivale impompi ASAP.
Yeah.
And nakhona futhi I actually like, I'm even embarrassed to say I actually respect the president ngokuthi ube swiftly and promptly ngokwenza lento, considering ukuthi how my views have always been about him and his policies. Yabo. And the reason why we find ourselves in this mess is because of him and his people with lento bayazing on November. So if they had started making plans and provisions, we wouldn't be having such situations now. Because eventually we knew which is over.
Those are politics. Can we not go into politics?
No.
I think the issue is raising there. It's not really a political one. It's a thing of cool. Would you rather? We saw it coming. We saw it coming, and it started in China, and it was spreading onto Europe and all these other regions. And by end of February, I mean, we could have easily made, we are locking down, not really the country now, but we are closing our borders. And that way, it was going to be an unpopular decision because obviously most economists and investors were not going to like that. But it could have saved us. Then we would have known good we don't even have a case here, but we sort of waited for a case to be reported in South Africa before we acted.
Absolutely.
Even Thabiso, it doesn't even have to nivala amabhoda. The mere fact to encourage social distancing as they are doing now. Because Tina, to be honest, our lockdown is not as extreme as it is in Italy.
Yeah.
The only people who abashawayo, to be honest, except for those cases where it's power abuse, amaphoyisa and ama-social zohlukumeza abantu abangenze lutho, like the picture that we saw, lo mama say Alex obephethe plastic base Shoprite bempanish. But people are able to go and buy things and come back. So if we had started,
push-ups as well.
Yeah, njoba ngisho bengivumelana now with our implementation was not that great, but so far njoba ngisho to back to the point alcohol kusizile uthi ngakhona because abangempela afethu utshala busiphendula imdwembe.
Okay, I know. People are buying Hennessy for 800.
Exactly. Guys, out of time. The meeting's out of time. We've removed. Yeah. Skatia paid on the.
Yeah, I mean. Okay, Bafethu, I think we have to close it off. Yeah. No, Siyabonga Bafethu, and the lockdown in Imbizo is closed for today.
In my relationship.
Inside.
Stopile wena lapho Khehla. Khehla stopa.
Stopa Khehla.
Hey man. Ukhehla talking about Mamela. Coming up next episode. So Khehla uvuke ekuseni uyohlala emotweni ubuye endlini late.
All right guys. Yeah, but okay.
Stop record Khehla.